Nut Nerd Podcast, episode 272. All your belong are based to us.
Welcome to the Nut Nerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
Hello there.
Hello.
How are you, Internet and Nate?
Yes, we welcome in at a later time all of our listeners and viewers. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment over on YouTube if you would like to visualize what we're talking about and how we are talking.
And I shall tell you guys a little behind the scenes. We spent an incredible, an astounding amount of time today getting our camera set up. 15 minutes or so? So you should appreciate the hard work we do each and every week to make ourselves look good.
Yes, this is very true. Well, let us get on to some follow-up. So it seems like it was just a month ago we were talking about Google Photos and how they were kind of going away from the free plan eventually, which this is a great reminder. If you use Google Photos, make sure you get all of your photos uploaded before June 1st. I think that's when they change things. And if you don't use Google Photos, start using it before June 1st to get in on the free before they start charging you. But one of our other, probably our most oft mentioned applications that we just really would enjoy if people started using, LastPass, well, they announced some changes to their plans this week, and I think this is actually closer to what their plans were before, and then they changed it, their free plan, and now they're changing back, which I read something on this, and they said, if you can't afford it, just come on. You can make $3 a month, and I think if you do it right now, it's $2.25 a month for their professional plan, whatever they're calling it.
Mm-hmm.
But their free plan is not going away. They're just doing this. You can only use it for one device type is how they're selling this.
Yeah, this was something that Evernote did a number of years ago. You used to be able on the free plan, you have Evernote signed into 20 different devices and it works great. Then they're like, you can have it on 2 devices. So you have to choose. If you have an iPad and a phone and a computer, well, do you put it on the computer and the phone? But I'm using my iPad and now Evernote, I have to go to the website versus use the app and just all this stuff. So this is a way through kind of inflicting a little bit of pain on the customer to get to weed out those who actually want to pay for the service and to separate them from a little bit of money. Now, I don't blame LastPass. They were purchased by, LogMeIn a couple years ago, and that was kind of the beginning of the end of the free ride, I think, because LogMeIn's a for-profit company and they want to make money, so they're doing things to make money. So friend of the show, Tyler, asked the other day if I was going to be paying the money to be a premier subscriber of LastPass, and I said probably. I'm invested. I use it. I've gotten a lot of use out of it for free, so I'll probably continue to use it for quite some time.
Yeah. I've had a premium is the plan that I've been on for several years. I think before they switched what the free version was. And again, I pay $3 a month, or if you do it right now, $2.25 per month, billed annually. But if you can't find $2.25, and one of the things why I will stay with the premium is I use it on my computer constantly, but with how well it's worked into iOS and Android now, to be able to easily, with a couple clicks, you can put your password in, which again allows you to have strong, unique passwords. One of my clients, I finally convinced her to sign up for LastPass and kind of had to walk through couple times of how to do it because it's different, but she used the same password, a very simple password, for most of her services. So she has actually actively been going in and changing these passwords one by one. And I mean, no security is going to be perfect, but it's going to make a big difference to protect, her bank account, her Amazon account, her Facebook account, all these different things, to have these unique passwords that you never have to remember. But
Right.
if you only use your phone, if you don't, a lot of people, don't really use computers and you only use mobile devices, you could get by with the free plan there. Or if you only want it on your computer, you can do that. So you have to pick one or the other, mobile devices or computers, and then you can only use that device type. But one of the other things I wanted to mention that I might actually switch over to as well is they have the LastPass families. So with the LastPass families, you pay, typically it's $4 a month, but they're doing a promo on that. And I'm looking furiously in their article here. I thought I had just seen, $3 a month, billed annually. I believe you get up to 5 of your closest friends and family, so it doesn't even have to be family.
Right.
So if I switch to that, maybe I'll bring you in on mine, Dave.
You'll throw me a bone, will you?
Yes.
That'd be great.
Maybe the first, I'll give it to Isla and Chelsea and you, so that leaves me 2 more, so a total of 6. So the first 2 people to contact me about getting in on my LastPass family, you will be able to do that. But just a change there, but please use a password manager. We've talked about this a lot, but LastPass is making a small change, but it's only a small amount of change per month. And speaking of limits and information, you found an article titled from Ars Technica, "A terabyte isn't what it used to be. 14% of internet customers use more than a terabyte." So it looks like, from what they're basing it on, from 7% of users to now 14% of users are using a terabyte per month of data. Now, why this is important is Comcast has, in many areas, a 1 terabyte per month data cap. And a friend of the show, Wes, actually ran into this the other month when I finally got him signed up on Backblaze. And while he was working from home, his entire video archive was uploading to Backblaze. And luckily, Comcast gives you 1 month for free, and then he's not near it afterwards. But I did hear that Comcast was working to do, I think it was the last 13 or 14 states where they didn't have this, and they're actually not going to put them in place. But like with my Ziply fiber, my gig speed Ziply fiber, I do not have a data cap, which is one of the reasons why I switched over, plus the blazingly fast speeds.
Yeah. I don't believe in data caps. I do believe in the right for data providers to kind of scale the bandwidth when necessary so that the experience for everybody is good.
Yeah.
But, capping it and making people pay, it doesn't, maybe it costs them more. I don't know. I live in this little idea that no matter how much data you use, it doesn't cost them any more or any less. I could be wrong about that. But, bandwidth caps, with everyone working from home and staying from home, and with the recent snowstorms and outages and stuff, people relying more and more on their mobile data and that type of stuff, or even, their home data. And whenever there are caps introduced on any of those plans, natural disasters seem to exacerbate the issue.
Yes.
So we're in a period of that time right now.
Yes, yeah, we're using a lot more data. Look at how many people have canceled cable and don't have, cable where they're consuming things, or over the air has pretty much gone away for most people, and so you're streaming everything. I was talking to somebody this morning that canceled their cable and they're just doing streaming now, and so obviously, and as we go to 4K and maybe someday 8K content, you're just using a lot of data these days.
Yep.
Doing all your gaming.
That's the funny thing, is most of it's just watching videos. So.
Yeah. Yes. Well, one other piece of follow-up. We talked a couple weeks back about Twitter's Birdwatch experiment, where they were going to do crowdsourced fact-checking.
I don't even remember this thing. That's how impactful it is.
Yes. Yeah. So the headline from Pointer says, "Analysis: Twitter's crowdsourced fact-checking experiment reveals problems." In the subheadline, a pointer analysis found that less than half of Birdwatch users include sources, and many fact-checking notes contain partisan rhetoric. Rhetoric? Rhetoric.
Rhetoric.
Yes. So who knew that people were partisan when they wanted to fact check things on Twitter? So this was something you could apply for, and then you would, in a sense, become a fact checker. But if you're just
like a moderator or something like that.
Yes. If you're just doing it so that you can confirm your own biases, that's not really helpful.
Yeah.
Words are hard. Words are very hard. But you know what's not hard? Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
Well, just like every week, I searched far and wide, high and low, to find a tip that would be useful for everyone. And I actually made use of this tip not 2 weeks ago with a friend. If you are using an iPhone or an Android phone, Apple Photos, Google Photos, we've talked about this before, but it's a great reminder that if you want to find something particular, you may not have made a little album, you may not remember the date, but these algorithms and artificial intelligence, the AI, what is the other term? Machine learning, that's the one.
Yes.
With all of these things, these devices capable of all these two-letter acronyms, they've become very good at finding just what you're looking for. So for example, if you've ever been to the beach, if you've been to a particular city, if you have been near a point of interest like a national park or something like that, you can now simply go into your Apple Photos on your phone or on your computer, or into your Google Photos on your phone or on your computer, and simply type in beach or dog or Yosemite National Park. And you will be surprised at how well those algorithms are in finding the photos that you're looking for specifically. So this particular friend, I was showing him, and I'm like, just type in beach. And he's like, okay. And all these photos from the beach that he had taken over the years with his family on vacations showed up in this list. And it's like, how does it know? And I'm like, well, it knows from either the location data that it's recorded, or just by looking at the scene, it can detect that. So that's the tip. If you're looking for a particular photo at a particular place, and you know just a couple little pieces of information about it, chances are if you put it in the search field, it'll just pop up.
Yeah, and it does work well. I use this often, and there's also the faces and location,
if you want
which
to put in
can
some
help
extra
you.
work, yep,
Yeah.
you can set all that stuff up.
Do that, and it just works well. Now, I will say you can do this with the Amazon Photos that I was testing out, but you can see, I would say Google is probably the top for how well it works, and then Apple, and then the Amazon, I could tell it was kind of lacking in how well their algorithm works, but Apple, being more privacy focused, they try to focus on that instead of just putting all the data everywhere. And Google likes to put all the data everywhere, and they've, billions of photos that Google Photos must have analyzed to try to lock this stuff in.
Yeah. And, Google, they can be as information rich as if saying, tell me where I went and everything I did on a particular day. Whereas Apple it's kind of taken them a while to get to the party on this machine learning with different types of, they did faces, of course, and then now with different like scenes and things like that. They do all of the machine learning on device.
Yeah.
So even between your iPad, your iPhone, and your MacBook, all of those three devices are going through and learning about your photos independently, so that there's no crossover or information shared between devices. It's pretty astounding.
Yeah.
So your consistency may be a little bit different on different devices. So if you never use your MacBook and you fire up Photos one day, you're like, type in the word beach. Well, maybe it hasn't had time to go through and find all the beach pictures, just like your phone has. So it's a little more quirky than Google, but it's absolutely 1,000 times more privacy centered than they are.
And a bonus pro tip, if you get a new device and it seems like the battery life is really horrible, a new Apple device, it's because it's processing all of those photos again and doing a lot of other things in the background, all that machine learning and AI. So after the first few days is when you can really look at your battery life, and it's still great on these new devices.
Yep.
Well,
I agree.
Let's move on to our takes of the week. And I don't know a whole lot about this. Maybe you know more, but NASA landed the Perseverance robot on Mars.
Yeah, so insert anything here, and Dave knows more than you about it. It's probably going to be true. But I had the fortune of tuning in to YouTube right when this was happening live.
Wow.
And sometimes I get I could get cranky when historical moments happen, like when they sent the astronauts up on the Elon Musk's rocket to the space station and stuff. That was like a first for commercial rocketry and stuff. This is not a first for rovers on Mars, but it's an amazing device. And I'll tell you one thing about it that's pretty incredible. But I tuned in right when that was happening, and there was all the excitement in the control center, everybody excited. And if you can imagine, these people worked on this project for literally years, sometimes 24/7. Like this past week, they said that everything was going 24/7. They were not shut down. There were no vacations. There was no anything. Of course, obviously you could sleep when it was time to sleep, but they had rotating crews going on and checking all this stuff. And the probe entered Martian atmosphere, parachutes went off. It has this bungee cord thing that tethers it. There's retro rockets involved, and then it lands safely. And so everybody's like, whew. Speaking of machine learning, the rover itself had to determine where to land based on the topography, and there were zones that were safe and zones that were like hilly or valleys, and it chose a great spot, landed itself. Now here's the creme de la creme. On board this rover is a drone that will launch up and fly over the surface of Mars, and I'm pretty excited to see that when they get it online. So
yeah, and I'm linking in the show notes to the official verified account, NASA Persevere. I had a thread of some of the images, but they have an official Twitter account that is being updated. But yeah, the images, just from how many quadrillion miles away is this thing to get these high-res images back and video. It is just beyond my comprehension how they're doing this stuff, if it is actually happening.
It is. And depending on the orbits, it can take 12 to 18 minutes for the signal to go there, and another 12 to 18 minutes for it to come back. And so the devices have to be pretty autonomous so that they can drive themselves around, and if there's an obstacle, they can stop, because you say go forward, and then 20 minutes later a Martian runs in front of your thing. You don't want to be responsible for running over that thing. So
yes, I did see a funny meme of it was the rover, and there was two aliens holding up the mirror with the whole alien city behind it so that it wouldn't see it.
Yeah. So it'd be pretty easy to hide from these things, I would think, if you had any type of intelligence. But yeah, they're doing their things. It's pretty cool to watch them drive around on there and look at a rocky desert landscape.
Yes, cool technology. The future is here.
Yes, it is.
And another big story this week that I was actually talking to our Down Under correspondent, Elliot, a little bit, just checking in with him about the whole Facebook versus the news story that you might have heard about, where there is some laws that they're looking at passing in Australia, where Facebook would have to pay news sources to have it on Facebook. So if you're ABC Australia, if you wanted to post news stories on Facebook, and then Facebook's making money off ads that they put in your feed, that they would have to kick some of that back. So Facebook this last week decided, hey, we're going to take off all news from Australia's Facebook, and we're just not going to allow any of it. And there was a couple stories about how they removed some other like government organization. They turned the dial up a little too far and took off some stuff that shouldn't be there. But my understanding, and I've listened to some other podcasts discuss it, that they're removing, like, you can't share a news story on Facebook. You can't, the news sources can't post it on Facebook. So it's kind of this battle that's going on down there. And I've heard some people say, hey, you know what? Facebook would be pretty nice if there was a lot less news on it. So maybe that is the right answer. It's not good for the news companies, but I think it was ABC Australia or one of the news sites, their app was number 1 and then number 2 in the Australian App Store, because people are like, well, I want news. If I can't get it on Facebook, I'm going to go to the app. But for a lot of people around the world, Facebook is the one place where you live. I've talked to people that say they get their news from Facebook. They read a headline and figure that's a fact and move on, which is dangerous.
Wow. Very dangerous. So my take on this, and probably the bigger news story of the year, is that Dave Baylor actually agrees with something that Facebook did. So from my perspective and my opinion, of course, it feels like the Australian government is pushing around companies and making decisions that have far-reaching consequences that they can't even imagine. They're speaking out of turn. Like, I don't feel it's like their role or responsibility to do this, because it feels like they're just protecting other businesses from other businesses. So I think Facebook did the appropriate thing. They're saying, okay, we provide a platform where people can put information on it to share. And if you're going to start charging us for that content, even though studies would show that the benefit to the news organizations by being on Facebook for free far outweigh them not being there at all, as we're going to see this shakedown here pretty soon as they all start to go bankrupt because they don't have any exposure. So I think they did the right thing, because I don't like that an outside source is influencing the way they do business. Now, I know this sounds counter to what I think of Facebook all the other times I talk about, but those are practices that Facebook is doing that I disagree with. These are practices of an outside source being applied to Facebook that I don't agree with. So what is it? The enemy of your enemy is your friend.
Yes.
And so Facebook and I are friends on this, because I don't feel like government should have the ability to censor and do these type of crazy things like the Australian government's doing. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Please, like they say in the comments below, if you have other opinions, please give us your comments. We'd love to know them.
Yeah, and maybe we'll get Elliot on next week or something, have him ring in from down under to talk about it. But and the laws are being promoted by Rupert Murdoch, who controls a lot of the news. So yes, he would like to make more money.
Sure.
And
he basically owns all the newspapers down there and many around the world. So he's quite invested in getting money from Facebook.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Well, another interesting service, Amazon, we talk all the time, they're always coming out with new things. And I saw this new Build It thing that they're doing is kind of a Kickstarter. And it's a new thing that they're trying out. And you go to the page that I linked to in the show notes, and it's these different things that they would like to try, so you can back them. They currently have 3 different products. Pre-order these concepts by March 19th, and then they'll put them into play if there's enough support. So there's the Smart Cuckoo Clock, the Smart Nutrition Scale, and the Smart Sticky Note Printer. So they're all pretty descriptive in what they do, but what you can do, you can look at them, you can read about them, and then you can pre-order. So I clicked on the Smart Cuckoo Clock, and it kind of gives you a typical Amazon listing there. You can pre-order now for $79.99, and then it has a little bar there, should this item get built. 42% of pre-order goal met. So this is a great thing for Amazon because they can get all of the support and all of the money ahead of time, much like Kickstarter, to see if it's something worth building, and then they can put it into production.
That's exactly what this is. This is Amazon's version of Kickstarter.
Yeah.
They have a lab somewhere, and they're like, should we make this or not? And some person had a genius idea. What if we build our own Kickstarter and we'll let our customers decide?
Just do it there.
Yeah, I clicked on the nutrition scale, and I'm trying to figure out why I would want Alexa in my scale. But, and I still haven't found from their page why I would want that. However, we are in the market for a kitchen scale. And so I'm like, well, maybe this is something I want. $35? I mean, I don't know what kitchen scales cost. So maybe it's a good idea. Maybe it's not.
Yeah.
But a very interesting concept. We'll see if it goes anywhere.
Yes, and it looks like of the three, the smart sticky note printer has already, the pre-order goal was met on day 3 of 30, and 25 days left to pre-order with discount at $89.99. So people apparently want this smart, man, that's just a mouthful, smart sticky note printer. So it works with Alexa to help make quick notes. So if you're in the kitchen using your smart scale and you say, oh, I need butter, you could just print off a sticky note and do it on your so it's kind of a weird reversal of technology where we use these digital to-do lists and then you can just print them off.
Yeah. Well, all of these items are kind of like that. We've got the Cuckoo clock, which is a nice analog product that they've jammed some technology in there. And I'm like, well, is it just literally an Alexa device inside this clock? No, you can set timers with your voice, and there's an LED light around the dial that'll show you how much time is left on the timer. So it is integrated. But I don't think I need a Cuckoo clock. It's just something that's weird and quirky.
Yes. I don't think I need that one either, and apparently it hasn't been funded yet. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with this, and I'm sure some good products will come out of it, and some will get funded that don't turn out to be great products or other things. But they're not. Amazon isn't going to use Kickstarter, so they're not doing. Anybody can't do this, but it's for their own products. And we have talked in the past about how Amazon is a throw a spaghetti at the wall kind of company. So maybe this will slow them down a little bit and think through the products that they release a little more.
Yeah, they've had some stinkers in the past. Maybe this would have prevented them from going to market.
So this next one, I felt like it was time we talked about it. It's one of the most tech bubble things that I keep hearing about on all my tech podcasts, but I don't think the average person really knows what's going on. Maybe you've heard of it, but it is the social audio app called Clubhouse. And what it is you get an account. It's invite only and iOS only currently. So that's another reason it's only, tech reporters and stuff, and then they get invites. So it's slowly growing. But you go, from my understanding, you log in, and there's just these rooms where people are talking, and you just listen to the audio live. So it's not like a podcast. It's like a phone conversation. So there's all these rooms, and like Elon Musk was in a room, and Mark Zuckerberg was in a room. So obviously those ones get a lot of press. But I don't see it. I don't know. Dave, help me out here, Dave. Do you see the use in this?
It's a forum for live audio podcasts. Basically, you tune into this live audio podcast as a listener. Sometimes you can be on a panelist or a speaker, but it's usually a group of people who are talking. You tune in to listen. We had something like this before. Was it called radio? Is this something that
I know. Yes, I was just going to say that is why I don't listen to the radio, because I was having a conversation with somebody this morning, and we were talking about webinars and how you'll often get the replay, and I'm like. I am so spoiled by DVR and podcasts that I do not want to schedule my life around showing up somewhere for something that might be cool. And with Clubhouse, you can't record Well, there's ways to record it, but it's
Yeah.
not built in that it'll live forever, that it's kind of, and I think it's really so popular. It's a pandemic product.
Mm-hmm.
It's people are looking for something to be a part of in the moment, shared experience, but I don't see it.
Well,
There's all this talk about it's the next greatest thing.
Yeah, since it's hard for us to describe actually what it is, that's probably a signal to its failure.
Yeah.
I can describe a podcast. What's a podcast? It's like radio, but time delayed. You can listen to it
Yeah.
whenever you want. It's like a DVR for audio.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, okay, I get that." What's YouTube? Well, people can put up a bunch of videos, or companies can, individuals can. You just record yourself and put it on there. Oh, and we have live YouTube too. It just streams it live. Okay, I can understand that. So what's this Clubhouse? Well, it takes a feature that all those other things have and then makes it
Doesn't have
exclusive.
all the features. Yes.
Yeah, it cuts out a bunch of other useful features and just focuses on one of them.
Yeah.
So I think it's a fad. It's just going to go away.
Yeah.
And the celebrities who have participated are the only reasons that it's got as much traction as it does. But
Yeah.
I think like Quibi, this is going to fade out rather quickly.
I did. It has none of the features I'm looking for. I would prefer video, which, like you're saying, we have video options for this. We have a million different things, and there's actually a similar app called Stereo that Adam Carolla, it must be owned by the podcast company that owns his podcast, where it basically two people are just talking, and you can tune in and scroll through all the different people talking, and like, so he's done some of those, and you can write in questions, it'll answer or record a question, but again, I am a huge fan of Adam Carolla, but I have not once scheduled my life around being on Stereo when he's on the Stereo app, so I just it is I just don't see the benefit, but I figured we should mention it since it's out there and try to give you absolutely no explanation of what it's really like, because I don't see the benefit. So don't. I am not trying to get an invite. I signed up, and so maybe eventually I'll get one, but I'm not too into the idea of Clubhouse. Well, our bonus odd take of the week. It has been 20 years since the All Your Base Are Belong to Us video debuted. One of the first nerd memes. You've probably heard it at some point. Dave, have you used the All Your Base Are Belong to Us?
I know about it. I don't think I've ever had an instance where it was appropriate for me to use that meme. So I don't think that I've ever used it, but it has its origins in an old video game that was poorly translated into English, and that was one of the lines from the video game, "All your base belong to us." And so obviously it's funny, and it's kind of an endearing way to say that from a villain, right?
Yes.
So yeah, people make meme out of it, they make a song out of it, they do whatever. So it's fun. I've never used it, not even ironically, but what about you?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it, but I do not think I don't feel that I'm a qualified enough gamer to be able to use that one. But if you do click the link in the show notes, there is the 20 years ago, the 3.5-minute video where it kind of shows some of the video game, and then all the different memes, all the different places people photoshopped it into, and all of that stuff. So if you're looking to up your gamer street cred, check out All Your Base Are Belong to Us. It is such a bad translation. I have to read it off the show notes every time because I cannot naturally speak it without reading it.
It is pretty funny, though.
Yes. Well, it is now time for our picks of the week.
So there's this company up in the Seattle area, maybe, or China, depending on where you see them being based out of. But Wyze, have you ever heard us talk about Wyze cameras before? They seem to, this past 6 months, have dropped a new product every 2 seconds.
Yes.
And I picked up one that finally came in the other day, and I hooked it up. And I think I've talked about it, but it's never been my pick of the week. And so what I'm referring to is the Wyze Plug outdoor plug. Now, you can go down to Walmart or Home Depot or wherever, maybe even Best Buy, and pick one of these up. The idea is you plug it into your outdoor power outlet, and it's hardened against the weather. It's got rubber seals on the ports, and it's weatherproof basically. And then on the other end, it's got two little plugs where you might plug in, I don't know, your Christmas lights, your lights that go around your yard, or who knows, whatever you got, a fountain or something outside. And then you can tie it into IFTTT. Is that the right one?
Yeah.
Did I get enough T's? Or Alexa or Google Voice Assistant, whatever, and you can control it with your voice. And so I picked one of these up because we've been redoing our backyard. It's taken us 5 years, but we finally kind of got it dialed in back there. And I got some rope lights that kind of go around the yard so that when we if the weather ever improves, we can entertain outside, and maybe during the evening we want some lighting out there, so I can just hit my watch or my phone, or I can walk over to the switch and hit the button, whatever. But when it's a smart switch like that, you have so many other options. You can fire it remotely from home if you're on vacation. You can set it on a timer to go on and off at sunset or sunrise, whatever you want to do. So it cost, I think it was $9.99, which is a very reasonable price for an outdoor plug. I mean, you're going to be paying almost the exact same thing for a non-smart plug.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and pulled the trigger, got it. It came in, and it's been sitting outside. I plugged in some lights, but I really haven't had an opportunity to use them. But it works well, and it's part of my Wyze app with all my lights and my plugs and everything else, and I can just tap it, and it turns it on. So
very nice.
Yeah,
that's a good one. We I don't know if we've done too much of the smart stuff with our Christmas lights, but the extension cords that we have used for our Christmas lights are the 1973 like brown.
Oh yeah.
Just those weak extension cords. But yeah, that smart outdoor plug, that is nice, especially with the two plugs on there, so you could have your ambiance lights and your sprinkler or whatever else you do with plugs.
Yeah,
outside.
and they both work independently. You can turn one on and one off, whatever. Have them both on. It's great.
Very nice. That is a good one. Well, my pick of the week this week from Apple TV Plus is the show Ted Lasso.
Okay.
I don't know have you watched Ted Lasso yet, Dave?
I have watched every episode, in fact.
Nice. And it stars Jason Sudeikis from Saturday Night Live fame, which he is one of my favorite. Just his quirkiness is great. But this show, now I will, word of warning, it is set in Britain, the UK, somewhere over there, England, and the language is a little salty. So, and some of the topics covered are not necessarily family friendly. But I just really enjoyed the show. He's got a great character. He is no spoilers here, but he's an American football coach, college football coach that gets hired to coach a football team
or soccer,
there.
as we say.
Soccer, as we say here. But yeah, it's just a fun show, especially when there hasn't been a ton of great shows, in my opinion, coming out recently. I really enjoyed it, and if you've got a free trial of Apple TV Plus, which some way or another most people probably do, I do recommend that one. And what were your thoughts on the show?
I like the show. I think it was a missed opportunity by not necessarily Apple, but those who produced the show, because Apple just purchased it. They didn't really have anything to do with the production of it. But I don't think that the salty language is really necessary. Many of these programs could really open up the audience to such a wider group of people if they would kind of tone down on some of that stuff. But I mean, despite all that, brilliant acting, brilliant writing, the topics, it's one of these shows that's not, it's the opposite of a dystopian future where everything is bad and people are dying, and this is like a happy, I mean, there are some serious moments and there are some sad things that happen throughout the course of the show, but overall, it's very uplifting and heartwarming is how I would
Yes,
describe it.
endearing. And Jason's Ted Lasso, his character is just a prophetic, just has great little quips and quotes, and is just one of the friendliest guys. And I do agree. And if you haven't noticed, listening to our podcast, that both Dave and I skew to the bland side of the saltiness spectrum when it comes to language. And it would be an amazing family show if they just took out some of the stuff. And I know some of that's, British culture and everything, but I don't, it doesn't make the show any better for me to have bad language in it, where it could have been, I feel, just as good for a wider audience if they took some of that out.
Same goes with movies that have very explicit love-making scenes. It's like, show the man and the woman kind of laying back. We all get what's happening.
Yes.
Cut to the next scene. It's awkward for the actors. It's awkward for the crew. It's awkward for the people watching it. It's awkward for everybody. It's like, why do we do this? But, producers and directors insist on that type of content. So
yes, but
anyway,
fun little show if you're looking for something to watch. We just finally wrapped up the first season. I think they've signed on for 2 more seasons.
That's great. Yeah, I definitely will be watching that, and I hope that the remaining seasons are just as good as the first one. So.
Yes. Well, our Amazon purchase of the week, we love it when you guys use our links, affiliate links, to go to Amazon and purchase great products or do all of your shopping there. Purchase bad products. We don't care.
We don't care.
Just as long as you use our link, and we make a little money off of it. Little money is the key phrase there. Yeah. But I was looking through the report, and this week, this might have been you, Dave, because I know how you like to care for your clothing.
Oh, of course.
The clear...
Obviously.
Yes. If you're watching the video, yes. Somebody purchased the clear vinyl shoulder covers closet suit protect storage home decor set of 12-inch high by 22-inch wide by 2-inch deep product from the Handy Laundry Store. So these are something you might have seen in your life where you have these little vinyl covers to hang over your clothes in the closet. And Dave, I will send you a picture.
So 2 things here. If you need vinyl covers over the clothes in your closet, it probably means that you need to get rid of the clothes because you never wear them. And the second point is, my closet is full of clothes that have dust all over them because I never wear them.
Yeah, so questioning people needing these and also being guilty of maybe needing them. But yes, I do have, for some reason, like I have a suit that I at some point got like a dry cleaning bag for, so I have that. But yes, I also probably have many dusty clothes, and I might also recommend getting a good air purifier to remove some of that dust. But Dave, I sent you a picture here. Listeners, viewers at home, put your guesses in what you would pay for a set of 12 of these
babies.
Yes, and I will let you know it does have 4.5 stars on 1,354 ratings. It is sturdy, breathable plastic with fabric edging, slips easily over all clothing.
I'm going to go right out here and say there's no such thing as a breathable plastic. Yeah. So that's,
yes. Well,
stick your head in a plastic bag.
That it's only a half thing, so the bottom is completely open. So yes, it is not a vacuum seal on your clothing.
So let's say here, I think so. If these were $1 a piece, they'd be $12, right? But these are worth well over $1 a piece. I mean, look at the build quality of these things. They look to be the quality of like maybe a young person's umbrella or something like that you might find in a flea market. I'm going to go out on a limb and say these things are less than $2 a piece. I'm trying to look in your eyes to see if there's
poker face
any hint. $18.99. That's my price.
Well, they are currently not in stock from Amazon. The current price, third party new, is $12.99.
Oh,
And I can see that the lowest price on Camel was $7.59 up to $16.99. And third-party used, the lowest price was $7.07. The highest price, $39.99. So hopefully they did not sell any at $39.99.
So I'm right. The price is all over the place, but this looks like they're about a $12 product. I was wrong. They are worth about $1 a piece. I was giving them the benefit of the doubt just because of the quality and that very breathable plastic that they advertised.
Yes, and in the related products, I can see you can get a 16-pack of similar ones for $13.99 on Prime through, and it looks like it's even the same brand, the Handy Laundry Products Corp. I am
That's
not
a good deal.
familiar.
I actually might get some of these, honestly.
Yeah.
Because there are some clothes I just don't wear very often.
Yeah, but you still got to keep them around because you might need them someday.
Might need them.
They'll come back into style someday, right?
They all do, eventually.
Yes. Well, with that, we will wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for partaking. We really enjoy doing this, and we love it when you guys share it with people, when you learn something, all of that good stuff, so that you can get out there and tech better.
Oh, are we going back this week?
That seems much more appropriate than coming in close.
All your base, all your base, don't belong to us. All your base,